Hey, beautiful soul, welcome in for another episode of Spirit Speakeasy. On this episode, I'm going to be doing something a little different and sharing signs from spirit that I received on my recent trip to Las Vegas and a little bit about the trip, just because some of you have been asking. I have so many people on the other side that I do have signs kind of set up with most of them, but certainly not all of them. And sometimes our spirit people, just to give us love or support or let us know we're not alone, will show up in interesting times, in interesting ways. And that is part of what happened for me on this trip. But also, something that I am often thinking about is that because when we receive signs from spirit, it's so personal, it's so unique to us that one, sometimes when we explain it to someone else, it like might not make a whole lot of sense. And two, we can miss them so easily because perhaps we're thinking it's going to show up in a different way, or it's going to be bigger than it is, or somehow differently tangible than it is. So part of my intention with sharing this is to highlight for you some of the ways that I receive signs from my loved ones so that perhaps you can kind of open your eyes and heart and mind to how maybe your own loved ones are showing up in your day-to-day life and giving you signs. I was thinking about this right before my trip, and I do in my day-to-day life, in my work when I'm doing mediumship, and for those of you watching on the video version, yes, I'm in the office today. I'm in here early before my clients, and I am recording this the Saturday before it's going to be released because it has been just a crazy couple weeks. It's kind of one of those things where you designate a time for something, and then like for me, this is like the third or fourth time that I am trying to record this. My neighbors had something really loud happening and then I couldn't record. There was some kind of alarms going off for several hours the other day when I had set time to record. So as we know, things are always working out behind the scenes. So this must be perfect timing. I want to just mention that I have so many people in the spirit world. And when I'm in my work as a medium, working with clients, even sometimes when I'm writing, when I'm doing anything connected to my work, I am available for the spirit world. Certainly when I'm doing my meditations, I'm focused more on the spirit world. But in my day to day life outside of work, so like when I'm home cooking dinner and doing chores and doing errands and driving around, I do get very physically focused. That is the nature of us as human beings. We need to focus on this 3D reality, on our own feelings, on our own thoughts. It's not really healthy to be trying to be aware of the spirit world at all times, even though they are present all the time. So, I was thinking about this before the trip that I do tend to get very physically focused and maybe forget sometimes to ask my loved ones, like, hey, give me a sign. While I do have a lot of people over there, I don't necessarily have anyone that I like really deeply need to hear from on a regular basis. At this point, I'm very lucky. I can, off the top of my head, probably think of 30 people that I have on the other side who do say little hellos here and there, but no one that I really need to receive a sign or a hello or feel their presence day to day. So it's not that I forget, it's just that I get differently focused. Well, this trip started out just a little strange. So it was the first morning flight. Let me tell you quickly what this trip was. I was going to Las Vegas from San Diego. There was, I guess, WrestleMania was there. Some of you know I used to work for WWE in my acting career a gajillion years ago. There is like the second maybe podcast episode that came out on the show is my story of that. So if you've missed that story of how I went from that to this, feel free to check out that episode. It's there. And so occasionally, once in a blue moon, probably, I mean, the average is less than once a year that I will go and do a signing. I hadn't done this particular event in a couple years. I got invited. The contract worked out, so I agreed. And if you remember me talking about my New Year's resolutions and how Spirit was kind of calling me out a little bit about what I had said that I wanted, when I scheduled this trip and agreed to do this signing, I was like, "Oh, my best friend lives in Vegas. Maybe I can tack on a couple days to spend a little time with her." And that is what I did. So the event was going to be on a Friday. I would basically be kind of like the last event I did in New York, showing up. They have all the things that they want me to sign. They're charging people. They're in charge of all of that. And I just kind of show up and sign whatever anyone brings or photos that they're choosing off the table. And the event is typically, I want to say like 4 or 5 hours, maybe, is how long I'm usually there. And then I would have Saturday and Sunday with my friend, and then I was going to fly out Sunday night. So, kind of quick and easy trip. For those that don't know, geographically, San Diego, it's maybe like an hour flight to Las Vegas, depending on the wind. Sometimes it's like hour 15, sometimes it's 45 minutes. So, right around there. So, no biggie. The event was starting at, I want to say 9 a.m. I think it was like 9 to 3 that I was supposed to sign, 9 to 2, 9 to 2. And I was going to go out on the 6:30-ish a.m. flight. So I'm up at 4 a.m. It is dark. I am tired. I am maybe not my best self in the morning, but I needed to get like somewhat ready because I needed to go from the flight right to the venue and start the event. So I had really strategically packed my things. I was wearing like a skirt and a kind of a cute top at the event, which is not something that I felt comfortable or appropriate flying in. So I had packed that separately, tucked it in my backpack or my rolling carry-on just a little separate so I could easily grab it and change at the airport. I did have to have I don't wear a ton of makeup, but I did have to have the majority of it like done already. I wanted to have my hair kind of fixed or looking a little bit cute because there's literally nowhere for me to get ready on the other side, right? So I do plan to change at the airport when I arrive, but it's got to be like a quick change. And the reason I like that first flight out is because when I get there, I, in theory, would have a little bit of time to find a place to change, find a place to tighten up my makeup or like touch up a little bit, get a coffee, which it's not like I am someone that needs coffee all day, every day, but especially on a day when I am up at 4 a.m. and needing to like really engage with people and kind of put on that entertainer side of myself, I need some sort of caffeine, or it certainly makes it a little bit better. The other piece of this is that my son, who I love so much, who's living on the opposite coast for me right now, was texting and wanting to message me late the night before. So it was like after 11 p.m., creeping into those late hours. And I had finally said to him, like, I got to get up at 4. I love you so much. Could we, pick this up in a few days? And so I had very little sleep. I'm up, I'm getting ready. Morning joy is not the best joy. So I really try to have things like set out and set up and sticky notes for myself if I need. And so that happens. We, as a little side note, have been having some problems with our elevators in the building. So I wanted to make sure I left enough time so that if something was going wrong, I could take the stairs if I needed to. And get going in the morning, call the ride share. That is smooth and easy. We get to the airport pretty smooth and easy. Airports are still a little weird. I know TSA is supposed to be back to being funded and things are supposed to be smooth, but at San Diego Airport on that morning, what happened was there were 2 lines. We have a new terminal and there's one security that goes to all the gates. Every airport's different. I have TSA pre-check and I got in what I thought was that line. And then it was like so long and moving slow. And it seemed like equally long as another line that was adjacent to it. And then I saw a little short line. So I was like, oh, maybe I'm exhausted. I know I'm not the best in the morning. Maybe Morning Joy has gotten in the wrong line. Very possible. So I get out of that line and go into the other line. And then those people are like, no, this is the clear line. This is a different line. And then I got back in my line. Luckily, I remembered exactly where I was, and I had talked to the gentleman behind me and just like, I'm so sorry. I accidentally jumped out of line. Can I jump right back in? And he was okay with that, but then wanted to kind of chat to me about TSA and airport workers and all of that. And if you don't know me, I'm super grateful for all of the employees and workers and everything that they do, especially when we were having the shutdown where they were showing up to work and not getting paid. Like, I don't know many people that could go even a few weeks without getting paid before their, bills are not getting paid, and that's a problem, right? So I really appreciated everything they did. So I kind of joked back and forth with him, but that was what happened. Turned out he and I were going to be on the same flight, so that's fine. So finally, after this long line, I get through security and off to my gate, right? So as I get to the gate, everything's fine. I'm there plenty of time early, probably about an hour early. I'd rather be early than not. I don't, okay, this is like a little weird thing about me. And then I'm going to get to the signs next. I typically like, I want to say this in a very tidy way, but I don't usually like, I don't want to get coffee on this side of the flight because I have some tummy issues. I have something called ulcerative colitis, which sometimes flares up on its own spontaneously, and coffee can sometimes be a trigger. So I definitely want to get coffee on the other side. I have plenty of time. This is no problem. Well, as we're waiting for the flight, time is creeping on. And then all of a sudden, I see an alert on my phone that our flight time has been changed. And I'm like, what? And the person who's supposed to be giving the gate announcements, he doesn't seem like a typical gate announcement person. So it feels like maybe they just threw someone up there. It was one of the guys with like the orange vest that's normally down on the tarmac waving the airplanes in. So he is really hard to hear and understand. But I figured, like, okay, they'll keep making announcements. Well, our time kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. I don't know what the actual situation was, but what they were saying is that they needed a first officer pilot and they didn't have one. Again, because of the mush mouth that was happening. I don't know if they gave a reason why. I don't know if someone called in sick. I don't know what happened, but we were apparently waiting for a different pilot to come from wherever they were coming from. So the flight ends up getting delayed from 6:30 to 8 a.m. Now, I am supposed to be at this event seated with a line of people by 9 a.m. So my anxiety is starting to bubble. Now, I texted the promoter who was bringing me in just to say, like, hey, this is out of my control. This flight's getting delayed. Here's the info. I sent him a screenshot. This person is not always the easiest to work with. But in this case, they were just very professional. So that was great. And then I'm hanging out. I'm trying not to get too stressed. I've been a little just not stretching as much as I need to. So I was like, that's fine. We'll stretch. We'll do some like stretches. We're going to have a long day. So let's just breathe and take this time. And I'm feeling a little anxious. And then all of a sudden, I remembered that I had been thinking the day before, like, hey, I don't always ask spirit to make sure, they say hello or to engage. And this is a perfect time because I'm feeling stressed. Let's do it. I also, for those of you that know that I like to do a little extra woo woo work, I also call in Archangel Metatron to help me with the timeline. And not quite yet, but when I get on the flight, I do call in Archangel Raphael. So finally, we get on this plane. We are waiting again. We are there for a very long time waiting for a pilot to come. I did never see him come, but apparently a second pilot came that we needed. And at this point, we're like pretty late, like pretty late by the time we take off. It's even later than they had said. And as we're sitting waiting for this second pilot to come, they have us boarding. They have us doing the that little safety presentation that they give. They're talking us through that. And still we're sitting there waiting. And I'm getting more and more anxious because one, I've had a little bit of challenge with this promoter in the past, and they can get a little like aggressive in their words or a little belligerent, and I was not trying to deal with that. Two, I don't like being late. I pride myself on trying to be the most professional I can, especially when someone is bringing me in for an event of any kind. I like to leave people with a good impression and a good feeling. So for many reasons, I was just feeling stressed. I do try to get the window seat just because I fall asleep pretty easily on planes. And I'm just like, okay, let me just look out this window. It's gotten light in the meantime while I'm sitting there. And all of a sudden, what catches my eye is a person who is out there on the tarmac. I'm going to grab a tissue for those of you that are watching on Zoom. As an additional little side note, I did come back with lots of allergies. I had lots of allergies happening when I was there, from the smoke in the casinos that I had to walk through for this event. And also spring has sprung in Vegas. So the plants there have really kicked in my allergies quite a bit. So excuse me. But anyway, so out of the corner of my eye, looking out this window, catches a gentleman who is down on the tarmac walking around. Now, I feel like all people look different, but certainly sometimes there can be some similarities. I had to do a double take because this person looked so much like a friend that I have on the other side. The style, the body like type, the facial features, and the way this person looked, the way that he carried himself, the way he was moving. I just struck me where I was like, oh my gosh, that person reminds me so much of this friend of mine on the other side. And for those of you that don't know, this is something spirit can do. They're obviously not that person, even though for a split second I did think if anyone could plan and fake their passing and still be living low key somewhere doing a different profession, it was this guy. I knew this guy from my time in acting. He was from kind of a famous musical family, but he was technically kind of famous in his own way, but he was more on the production side and was more like an if you know who this person is kind of a thing. But very like low key in his way, and didn't like the limelight of his family. There's other family members that were very out front in that way, but in his generation, he was one that he was like, I don't want all that. I don't like all that attention. I don't feel comfortable. He was more in the production side, which is where I know him from. Now, since this is the friend that chose to say hello on this trip, I will just tell you a smidgen. I might have talked about him on the pod before. We had our paths cross numerous times when I was acting, because again, he was more on the production side, I was more on the acting side, and we just crossed paths several times. There was never, we didn't date, there wasn't a romance between us. The truth is, we were never single both at the same time. So while we did have that kind of friendship and electric connection that like maybe gives you butterflies or makes you laugh in what feels like a middle school way, we were just friends, and we kind of connected while we worked together, and then would go our separate ways, and then would connect again on subsequent projects when we ran into each other. So that was kind of the nature of our friendship. Certainly there were some electric feelings on both ends, but again, just not how things worked out. And who knows, we might have been less friends if we did ever date. So, but this, the smile of the person and the charm of the person stuck with me and still does to this day. So it was kind of funny that he was the one that showed up. So in my mind, I just was like, okay, hi, this is great. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for showing up. It was very, kind of distracting for me, which was great. Then we take off, we're going. And it was a little bit of an odd flight. The pilot didn't talk to us at all. It almost felt like he was annoyed to be there, to be quite honest. We get there safely. It was fine. We land a little bit bumpy, no biggie. And I know that I'm super late and I'm going to have to rush. I still have to change. I still have to like maybe do a little makeup check, and I still have to get to this venue. Well, as I'm deplaning, they have the person kind of at the top of the jetway that's talking to people and waving people through. And wouldn't you know, on the name tag of this person was my friend's name, same name as my friend who had just said hello earlier. Now, he doesn't have the most common name. It's not a totally unusual name that you would never see, but it's not a common name that I see or hear in the world very often. So it's noticeable to me when I do see it. And actually, he said hello on the last trip on the flight too. So I just was like, okay, we're rolling out together. This is what's happening. I see you. Hello. Thank you. And in little ways like that, that is partially how spirit can say hello. They can get their name across our path. They can get our attention to someone who maybe looks similar, has a similar vibe to them. And then some people even say that they can kind of transpose a little bit of their image on someone else, to where it's like, well, I know that's not that person, but they feel like they look a lot like that person. And someone beside you might say like, I don't think they look that much like that person. So there are some interesting ways like that that spirit can say hello. Now, maybe this is just me being tired, but because the Vegas terminal is also a new terminal, the direction, it kind of just like shoves you onto this terminal bus and you're going to go to, or a tram thing, you're going to go to take this train to the next terminal. And typically when that happens, you can get out at that terminal. There's like the nice bathrooms, there's restaurants, there's things, whatever. So I was like, oh, certainly this little tram's going to put me out on a place where I can find a restroom that I can get changed in, etc. It does not. It puts you out in a place where there's more construction. And the only thing you can really do is exit down to baggage claim to where you go find the ride shares and things. And if you've ever been in the restrooms in the baggage claim areas, they're not always nice. And in this airport, they were not nice at all. So there I am trying to just like change as best as I can, because I wanted to put heels on, change my shoes, change to this dress that I was going to wear. I did kind of pull myself over on just a random little bench and try to just touch up my makeup a little bit. So then I'm trekking with my heels and my skirt, and the wind is freezing that day, and it's a little bit of a hike to where you have to go get the ride share. So I do all of that. And finally my rideshare person comes. Those that have picked up ride shares at the Las Vegas airport, let me know, because it is a little chaotic the way that they have it. It works kind of, but it's a little chaotic, especially if there's like freezing cold wind just ripping through the jacket that you have on and you're in heels and a dress and lugging bags. So I was trying not to be stressed, but I was already, again, very late. This person's texting me like, let me know where you are right now. What's going on? When are you getting the car? So again, my stress is rising. As I get into this car, I try to tell my rideshare driver, like where I need to go. It's a certain entrance to this like casino hotel place, where if I went in the normal front entrance, it's just like a really long way around to where I had to go. So I needed to go in a side entrance. Well, this person, I tried to tell them and they immediately said like, they don't speak English, they speak another language and they don't know what I'm talking about and they don't want to talk to me. So I'm like, okay, we're just gonna roll these dice and hope for the best. Of course, because I'm super duper late, and I'm texting the promoter and saying like, is there anywhere in this venue that I could get coffee? Because now I've been up since 4 a.m. It is close to 9 a.m. Or no, it's past 9 a.m. It's getting closer to 10 a.m. And I've had no coffee. I'm going to have to like jump right in and entertain people and be my happy, bright self and laugh and engage. And I am exhausted at this point already, and it hasn't even started yet. So he's basically like, in the lobby, there's something, I don't know. He's not really offering to be helpful in any way, if I'm honest with you. I didn't get it at the airport because when that tram spit me out in the baggage claim area, there's nothing like that. There's some vending machines with soda, but that was not going to be for me. So as I'm like trying not to stress and trying not to get car sick and having anxiety about if I'm going to get dropped at the right place or how I'm going to find even where I'm supposed to be, the radio changes. This person had on like Spanish speaking radio, and the radio changes, and it is a song that is kind of obscure that I associate with this friend. So I was like, okay, hi, I hear you. I know you're with me. Thank you. This is great. So this song comes on, and I immediately know this is my friend basically saying like, chill, calm down, you're fine. And then I was like, yeah, I am fine. This is outside of my control. I'm communicating. I'm doing the best I can. We're going to figure it out. Fine. So I get dropped off at the venue and I go inside, and of course there's no signs. I'm getting totally lost. I'm trying to text this promoter and say like, I don't know where I'm even supposed to be. I don't understand where to go. I apparently went the wrong direction. There's no directions really. And I'm getting more frustrated. And I'm like, I do see the place where you could get coffee, but the line is insane. And I'm like, there's just no way. That's so rude. I'm already late. I can't now wait and try to get coffee, right? So I'm making my way. I finally figure out there's a lot of people in like merch, like shirts and things, pictures of like different wrestlers and dressed up like people. So I was like, okay, certainly that's the way I need to go. Let me follow these people. So I start to follow that little crowd of people. And there's this little tiny, almost like a convenience store, but not even. There's construction happening at this hotel too, it seems like. And I mean, it's not more than like a little area of tile with like a couple cold cases with drinks and stuff in them and a little cash register and some chips. So I was like, okay, can I get an energy drink? Is there anything in here that I could have? Luckily, there was. I try to be as easy and flexible as I can. I don't normally drink those kind of drinks because they have sent me into terrible flare ups in the past. But I was like, I haven't had an energy drink like this in more than 5 years. This is going to be my Hail Mary. My body hopefully is going to be okay. And this is going to be what it is. So I grabbed those. Finally, the promoter has come out and found me. We are very close to where we need to be now. And luckily, he did come out because they weren't going to let me into the venue. This happens. And that when I was with WWE as talent, this would happen when I would arrive to the arenas because they didn't give us credentials. Only the crew gets those badges that hang around your neck, those like laminated crew, they're called credentials, badges and things. The quote unquote talent, we didn't get those. So I always had a hard time getting into venues. And this was the same thing. They were not going to let me in. But because this person had his credentials, said, this person's with me, let's go. So we get into the venue, and actually the promoter was quite nice and was telling me several other people's flights got canceled. He was so happy I was even able to make it. He didn't care that I was late. I, of course, was saying like, I'll stay later on the other end to make up the time. I know how you feel about these things, which is valid. And I didn't realize the signing thing itself ended at 2. So I did stay a little late to sign some things for him, but that kind of became a non-issue, which was great. So as I'm at the event, I always find it interesting the people that want to talk to me about spirit and the spirit world. One of the people that was working the event, that was helping to like collect the money and take the pictures and all of that. They have like, they call them handlers. There's usually a person with the girls that are going to have a line to kind of keep it moving smoothly and make sure that money is being collected and all that, because I don't deal with any of that. And I had met this person before. They knew what I did. And as we were just kind of chatting, I like to make sure everyone's having a good time. Whoever my handler is, I'm giving them a hard time. I'm teasing them. We're laughing. We're having fun, just because I think that is the best way to do these types of events or any type of event whenever possible. So when my line dies down periodically, this person and I are chatting, and this person's telling me a little bit about their family. And then they're saying, yeah, I remember that you are a medium. And I was like, oh yeah, that's my real job. That's what I do, really. And they said, I lost one of my parents this last year. And of course I said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that. And then this person who I would not have expected this person to have questions about the spirit world, about my work, about how this all works. But this person went on to tell me a little bit more about this parent that they had lost. They were trying very hard not to cry. And I was just kind of holding space for them and keeping eye contact, because I could tell that they really something was happening for them. They were experiencing something. And, they had some questions about how it works and if people are safe and how they spend time with us and all of that, which I'm always happy to answer whatever I can. And, kind of throughout the day, this person thanked me various times. I didn't give them a contact. I didn't bring through their parent. It just was a chaotic, super busy event. I probably could have, but it just wasn't appropriate. And this person was almost moved to tears, even just kind of being in my presence and sharing about this. So it would be really uncool for me to, bring through their parent and really blow up their whole day. So they just, kept saying thank you. And I was like, well, I didn't really do anything. And they kept saying, you know what you did, what you did for me, which was really moving. And there were a couple times where I snuck away to have a bathroom break, which doesn't always happen at these kind of events. But I was like a little insistent of like, okay, my line's died down. I need to run to the restroom really quick. And every time, there was 2 times I went to the restroom. Each time someone stopped me that had met me before, that sort of like didn't know me, but had met me before, and asked me about my work, asked me about the spirit world, asked me about, hey, this thing's happening for me, and I think this might be a sign from this person, and can you tell me, like, is that probably what it is, or is this how this works, or which I always think is really interesting. And it's almost always people that you like would not expect it to be, which I think is so fascinating. So flash forward, I mean, I did have some kind of like customers, I guess, or fans or whatever you want to call them, people getting things signed that wanted to ask me about the spirit world a little bit. And I did have some of my cards. So I was, giving those and saying like, hey, I have this podcast if you're interested, and free learning opportunities and things. So that's always fun. But then as I was leaving and waiting for Bestie to pick me up outside, I ran into someone that I had seen at the last event in New York that had interestingly asked me about the spirit world quite a bit. And it was someone that very much shocked me that they were curious or that they had questions, because they're not someone who believes in this kind of stuff. I'll say it that way. But this person just so happened to be waiting for their ride share. I was waiting for my friend, and they were like, hey, I thought a lot about what we talked about last time, and the questions that I asked you and the information you gave me and the things that you said really, really stuck with me and have really changed something in me and opened my mind and heart in a different way. And I've been really thinking about all this. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. That's really interesting. I'm not going to say these people's names just because, one, they are notable people that people, maybe not you guys, but some people will know who they are. Two, they didn't give me permission. And three, that's not the point. But anyway, so this person was like, yeah, what we talked about, the questions that you answered for me and some of the information you told me and some of the ways that signs come that you were telling me about, I just really feel like I'm maybe starting to experience some things. And this is like really stuck with me in a really surprising and unexpected way, which I love, because I feel like as sensitives and when we've learned things, spirit can always use us. And for me, the truth is, I do love the wrestling fans, and it means so much to me that I at any time meant something to someone, helps them through a hard time, was a highlight of their week to see on TV, whatever the case might be. But what I love even more is when spirit's able to use me to open people's heart or mind just 1 inch wider about the spirit world, about their own connection, about that their loved ones are not in a faraway place. They're not gone. Death doesn't actually exist. The soul does continue on. They do say hello in several different ways. So that was all really fascinating. And then throughout the rest of the couple days that I had, day and a half that I had, it was so interesting. The people that were inquiring, not about like my work or how do they do a session with me, but about like the spirit world in general. And like, so how does this stuff work? And how do you know these things about your clients? And people are always shocked to hear that, that are outside of this work, that like, I don't want to know anything about my clients. Actually, the less I know, the better. It makes me anxious. It gets me in my head if I know anything about them. So I prefer to know nothing, actually. And then that opens up more questions and more inquiry. And my friend did continue to say hello in little funny ways throughout the weekend, which was fun because he would have also loved my best friend. Their paths just didn't happen to cross, but he would have just adored her as well. And so even in little things that she would say, or something we'd hear on TV, or other music that would play, or jewelry that I saw someone wearing reminded me so much of him. So little ways of popping in and just saying hello here and there. And then as a sensitive, as a medium, it's always so beautiful to me to see who has questions, right? Because I think most of us have questions. I certainly would have had questions, and I still have questions for other people in their professions and what they do. So, but it was so interesting to me on this trip in particular, because it was people that I would have never thought would ask those questions. And I'm not someone who typically imposes my work on other people. If someone asks what I do, I often will tell them. I sometimes will say, oh, I have a spiritual business, or I do coaching, depending on the situation and if I have time to answer questions. But I often will say, like, I'm a medium. And the questions that came were just so fascinating. How does it work? Where are they? How do you communicate? What types of information do you get? How do you know those things? How do you trust those things? And then actually we ended up talking about a mutual friend that my best friend and I have in the spirit world, and talking about how this person gives signs all the time, and talking to just some people in her extended circle about the spirit world that would have not been open to it in the past. So it's always fascinating to me how not only spirit can say hello when we're anxious, when we're stressed, when we need to have a distraction, but also can put people and things and conversations across our path, not only to open our heart and mind, but sometimes to open the hearts and minds of others, which I really love. Now, I will just start to close this out by letting you know I did get the flight back. The flight back, the TSA line was so fast that I got right through. I was at the gate with plenty of time. And that flight ended up getting delayed a little bit too, and was a little chaotic at the gate because there was another flight leaving that was super delayed. And then we had to hurry up to get on. And then we were a little bit delayed. So it was a little chaotic, but my friend did say hello a few more times at the airport, one through music, one through getting his name across my path again, which was crazy, and one through someone talking about something that he had been a part of a long time ago, like a project that he had been connected to a long time ago. One of those boarding groups, there was another gate right next to us, and that flight was late and those people were boarding, and it was so many people was going to Austin. And some of those people that were boarding that flight, because it was chaos, we were all like in this little herd, trying to stay out of each other's way and trying to like give space by the gates, because the people making the gate announcements were not very happy that it was crowded. I guess, I don't know. And it was just so interesting because I heard a group of a few guys talking about a project that my friend had worked on, and I just was like, okay, hi, okay, like this is so cool, thank you. And then as I was grabbing some water because my throat was very scratchy from all the allergies, I paid for the water, and you guys know my lucky number's 8. The price was $8.88. I actually took a picture of it because I was like, okay, I get it, things are working out, this is fine, mindset's important here, I can go with the flow, everything's great. I ended up getting home probably like after, like right around midnight actually. But I got to hear lots of hellos from my friends. My elevators worked when I got home, which I had gotten an email the day before that they were all down, but they were working very hard on them. So things worked out in the end, which is always wonderful. And I actually have a couple other episodes that I want to record for you guys, but I just kept getting the nudge from Spirit. Hey, I need to share with you guys how spirit shows up in my day-to-day life in the most interesting ways. Now, I have been inviting that friend into a dream to say hello. I very rarely, if ever, receive my loved ones in a dream. So I also like to share that because some people get dreams and some people don't. And I have lots of dreams about other things that I just don't typically have my loved ones in my dreams. And I'm a medium. So if your loved ones are not coming in your dreams, it doesn't mean they don't love you or you've done something wrong or they're not available. It means none of those things. They can show up in other ways in your day-to-day life. Now, one more funny thing before I let you go. As I was in here recording this, coming in the office a little bit early, I ran to the restroom and there was something on the floor. I'm not even going to say what it was, what I was here yesterday that wasn't there yesterday when I left in the late afternoon, that was on the floor, a little tiny nothing. It wouldn't even be significant to anyone else, that I knew was my friend giving me the little wink and nod to like, hey, yeah, tell about me, tell about that I was there visiting you and that I kept saying hello and was calming your energy. So he has definitely put his stamp of approval on me sharing this episode. And I hope that this has opened up your mind, that whether you're on a trip or whether you're just going to the grocery store for your regular errands, you can get signs and hellos from your spirit loved ones or loved ones in spirit. And the other little bit, a lot of you know that now I'm gearing up for this Bali trip. I will sometimes set a different sign, like a different specific sign. Like maybe it would be like, show me yellow birds, for example. I keep seeing big bird in my mind. Show me different yellow birds on this 2-week trip to say hello. You can set up a totally different specific sign for like a trip, for example, than would be the normal way that that specific loved one says hello to you. This specific one that I've been talking about in this episode, he does typically get his name across my path in unusual ways, sometimes music. The thing of seeing someone that looked just like him in every way is new. So I was excited about that. That was a really cool one. But just know these things are subtle. They're very personal. They're things that probably no one else would even notice or connect dots on. And when we do articulate it to other people, sometimes they're like, yeah, okay, so you saw a number, like that's all right, that's fine. But just know that these things are very real. Sometimes we have a physical tingle or chill or sensation. Often we don't. So there's no right or wrong way. There's not, oh, every spirit communicator communicates this way. All of my people I will feel or sense or know or will say hello this way. It's all different. It's all completely personal and very unique. So I encourage you to invite specific loved ones to say hello, to play, to be lighthearted in this energy, to not be too hard on yourself as you're learning to practice with signs from spirit. And for those of you that are listening to this close to the time it's created, remember I have that free mini reading session coming up on May 4th. It is right on the homepage of the website, joyfulmedium.com. You can sign up. It's totally free to sign up, totally free to attend. You just need to sign up to get the Zoom link. And I will be doing mini tarot readings and looking at a question in your life or an area in your life for an hour for totally free. So I hope you will join me for that. I hope you will share your signs from spirit. You can either email me, drop them in the comments wherever you are listening or watching this, and let's keep learning about the spirit world, and I will keep sharing about it. And if there are any topics you guys want to hear about, let me know. I do have a love languages episode coming up for you, but I'm taking a different spin on it. So look forward to that. Some of you have asked to hear about the Bali planning. That is also coming. But I hope that you receive as many signs and hellos from spirit as you are craving. But remember, we do have to live our human lives. So big hugs. Bye for now from inside Spirit Speakeasy.